So I was gonna play the clip of me saying from the E3 video, don't screw this up, but I'd have to re-download it off of YouTube, and I'm on my own computer now, and I can't find a place to download YouTube videos without collecting a bunch of viruses. So I'm just gonna go with this lengthy waste of time spiel about, yeah, they screwed it up. So imagine Left 4 Dead, but it sucks. So like every modern multiplayer online game, it feels the need to have this arbitrary, useless, stupid home base camp where you run around and do everything, except that all of the stations in the base camp that you use for like guns, cosmetics, or cards are just options you can tap in the menu. So there's literally no reason to even have this. So you go in to start a match with this very few preference options, and then you realize that you're stuck waiting for everybody else just to shuffle through their cards for 3 entire minutes before you can even access the shop. If they wanted to do that before you left the safe room, that would make a little sense, but they won't even let you use the shop in the game to buy customized items and stuff while you're waiting. So you're literally sitting there for 3.5 minutes with your balls in your hand. The way they have the campaign set up, it's split into 4 different acts, and there's a few checkpoints along the way, but you do them in a run. So you have like one kind of game lobby that you start, and that goes for about a quarter of the entire game length. And then it just ends and stops and kicks you out, and you lose everything. And I mean, your place is marked. You can start a new run from where you left off, but it boots all the players. You don't get to keep any of your guns, and it's like as if you started a new run entirely. And for some reason, if you fail the run 3 times, you lose, and you have to start all over from your most recent checkpoint, and you lose all your progress. So it's like a crappy old arcade system where you have to put in quarters to keep playing, except there's no quarters. The only thing you're putting in is your own patience and time. And you cannot change the difficulty until the very beginning of the act. And you can't do that until you get to the next act. So you have to play from the beginning all the way again to try the other 2 difficulties, which isn't a problem at all, by the way, because easy is fucking impossible. The graphics suck, by the way. Here's my new introduction to this is supposed to be my longevity, brand new multiplayer shooter that I'd spend multiple 100 hours on the PlayStation 5, and it looks about as good as Left 4 Dead 2. Okay, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but come on, look at it. And as you're going through the level, you're collecting copper. Copper's the in-game currency. Use it to like buy health at the healing station and to, buy items at the shop and stuff. And everything back home is locked, so all the gun skins are hideous, so I didn't miss them anyway, but like the currency system in the game is entirely disconnected from the cosmetics because they're all unlockable. So the way they could have done it, if they wanted to have this weird currency that you don't need, and instead of doing it in this ancillary, arbitrary fashion, if they really wanted to have some kind of risk if you lost too many times on a level, they could have had the in-game currency carry over and say, hey, all of the in-game currency you don't spend on items, you take back home with you and you can use at the shop for, skins or cosmetics or cards or something. And maybe at the end of every level you get a certain amount of it banked so you don't lose it, and then you can decide how you want to allocate the rest of it, because it could be like a soul system. You have to risk losing your money to be able to use it in the level. Alright, that would have been slightly interesting. No. And the way you unlock the cards, I swear, every time I open the game, I get this giant notification on screen telling me to go to the supply lines. Supply lines is literally just buy card. There's 3 little rows, and you have to buy 1 card that you can't see in order until the next card, and then you buy it, and then you buy that one, and then you buy that one, and then that disappears on another line. This is nothing. This isn't even a shop. Alright? And the cards in general, I don't know about you, but I prefer my cards to have either ancient Egyptian dragon gods on them, or carry all of my money. Who is the genius at Turtle Rock who decided to crowbar in a card system and then not use the 2 things that make cards tolerable in the rest of life? There's no pack opening system where you have a guaranteed rare and then some fluff. There's no trading with other online players. You cannot sell them back to the shop. There is nothing. So you end up with this giant laundry list of cards that you can't really filter or sort. That's not true. You can filter. It is a pain in the ass to navigate. You can filter it by type, but by the end of the game, you have so many. And a lot of the cards are just straight power creeps of smaller cards. Like, there's the, plus 10% healing efficiency, then there's just plus 40% healing efficiency. That one's just objectively better. You would never want to use the other one, unless you liked the picture, I guess. But it's not even a physical card to collect, and they don't come in foils or hollow. It's like, ugh. Everything in the game and about the game is manifest into a card. So if you look up at the cards that are active, it shows all the characters you picked, which, I mean, I guess you might need because, they have, the 4 characters have different abilities, which I totally forgot about until right now. I never use them. The only thing it seemed to affect is the starting weapons. And then when somebody goes down, everybody else gets like unlimited ammo for a little bit of time. That's the only one that is recurringly popping up. And I'm like, okay, that one's actually pretty good. What are the rest of you Fox got. Whatever. But there's corruption cards, which is like, you know, the bad cards, which is just randomly RNG selected at the beginning of the level. And it's just a bunch of upgrades for the enemies. And it's like, here's a fog, so it's hard to see. You know, these enemies are on fire and they touch you and you explode, which is obnoxiously unfun, by the way. And some of them, like, pour acid on you. And then they take the already obtrusive special infected and put armor over their weak spots. So what am I supposed to do now? Now, what you could have done is say every player has to pick one corruption card and it goes into their deck. And then, so everybody brings one negative thing to them. And this should be a special arcade mode, by the way. You shouldn't be foisting this onto the main campaign. I don't want to deal with any of this garbage. I don't even want to deal with the special infected. I just want to shoot rows of regular old zombies. Is that too much to ask? And then maybe you could spend more money and it's rarer and harder to get easier corruption cards, where it's like, okay, here's only a small difficulty, you know, -2 health. And that's like the ultimate secret rare that everybody's trying to get because nobody wants to deal with these exploding acid, fire-shooting, armored zombies. And maybe the harder of a corruption card you pick, you know, the more experience and money you get, you know, the high risk, high reward. Any balance? Any reason to put up with this nonsense? Now, the level design itself is okay. There's a couple fun levels. Like, I think Act 2 is probably the peak of this game. I think Act 2 has all the fun levels in it. And Act 3 gets way too hard. And I still haven't even finished Act 4, which is just one mission, by the way. It's just like the final boss level. Act 1 feels like very generic, very easy Left 4 Dead. There was a little hedge maze that I got lost in, so I guess I have to give credit to that. But the way the game is structured is that there are far fewer natural choke points. You know, in Left 4 Dead, you have a lot of, you know, narrow hallways or alleys, or, you know, places where you can kind of corner up and withstand a horde fairly well. Or like doorways that you can shoot out in the middle and still use the doorway. And this is what Rainbow Six Extraction should have done, is they should have just taken Left 4 Dead and gone all in on the fortifications and say, hey, you have a few more tools to kind of plan out and stop the zombies from a few different directions. One of the offensive upgrades is barbed wire, and it is completely useless. It doesn't even slow them down. And while the doors still break apart from the inside out in Back 4 Blood, it seems like no matter how well you aim and how much you keep the zombies off of it, the doors are going to explode very shortly anyway. They are not holdable, defensible positions like they were in Left 4 Dead. And the way the game structures the levels is by using, you know, the home base that you're back at. And you're constantly, like, kind of doing missions or going on runs and then coming back to the home base. So if you're playing the game linearly in progression, you end up reusing a couple levels, which is absolutely inexcusable. But I like the school. I liked hopping through the kind of houses under construction in the suburbs. And there's a pretty fun surprise where you get into the safe room at the end of a level, and it turns out it's not built safe at all. So you have to hold off zombies while you're fortifying up the safe room. So that was actually kind of neat. And there's a part where you're going through, like, you know, the high security Wuhan lab down where they're making all the viruses, and, you know, a grenade went off and it, like, blew all the doors off the hinges. I don't know if it was just a chance of physics or if they did that on purpose because, you know, it's pressurized. I don't know. It was kind of neat. I fell into the illusion of that a bit. And I guess I do have to give credit to this part where all the zombies are rising out of the water like Curse of the Black Pearl. That was pretty based. So the level design is like halfway competent, but it's when you start to get into the core gameplay mechanics that you realize how big of a step back from Left 4 Dead this actually is. There was no effort put in to make the guns feel or act remotely like real guns. I have 3 of them behind me now, so I don't have to listen to Call of Duty anymore. If you reload partially, there's no one in the chamber. You have to cycle the bolt every time. They've only designed one reload animation, so even if the mag's only half empty and you reload a handgun, the slide teleports. Oh gosh, shit, I just chambered around. Hang on. Okay. I should probably use an empty magazine, not a full one. You can't. Why am I even doing this? You can't see me. Watch this. The slide magically teleports back. That's impossible. And when you've completely emptied the mag of the Barrett and you reload it, you can actually see live rounds still in the magazine as you're pulling it out. So, no effort at all. Very lazy, very cheap, very low energy, no big, small dick energy. And on PS5, it is wildly inconsistent which gun actually uses the trigger effect. All of the handguns and the ranch rifle, the semi-autos, have a pretty heavy trigger pull, but like the AK doesn't have any. You just pull the trigger and it just fires. Like there's no feeling in the break of the trigger. The best guns in the game by far are the ranch rifle, the RPK, and the AA-12. If you get all those with the extended 75% plus extra bonus mag, you're good to go. It's also infuriating to me that there's a ranch rifle and an M1 Grand with a little mag sticking out the bottom. It's like an M14 M1 kind of hybrid. There's a mounted minigun and it's very unsatisfying to shoot because it takes 3 seconds to spin up and then you burn 50 bullets to take out one zombie. I don't know why they felt the need to have a minigun. Why not like an M2 Browning or just a just a 50 cal, just something that's something more easy to control, and something with a rotation arc of more than 10 degrees, please, would be nice. The sawn-off shotgun's a secondary, but there's only one trigger, so you have to fire both barrels of it at the same time every time you shoot it, which is annoying and stupid. There's a halfway decent selection of guns. I would still like to see like a bigger caliber AR, like an AR-10 or a MAC-10 or a G36 or something, just for a little more variety would be nice. And there's only 2 LMGs. The other thing Turtle Rock did that utterly and completely ruined the game is that you cannot pull attachments off of guns unless there was another attachment on the ground to swap with. There is no button to remove an attachment. You can add an attachment to a gun, and then that automatically removes the old attachment. So unless you have something new to swap with, you can't do anything. Even if you have 2 guns that both have attachments, you can't switch in between them or anything. Most of the attachments are also invisible, by the way. The only ones you can actually see on the gun are the optic, the suppressor, and the laser sight. That's it. Everything else is completely invisible. You can put stocks on the handguns and you can't see them. There's no extended mag sticking out a little bit farther now. It's not like you can put a quad stack in the AR once you upgrade it or anything. And there's only 4 slots for attachments. It's optic, barrel, magazine, and then stock, which is limited and disappointing. Although I do appreciate the optics aren't super redundant. The optics are hollow sight, reflex red dot sight, ACOG, and then like actual long distance scope, and that's it. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. I mean, it'd be cool to have like canted iron sights or something, but I'm not gonna. I realize I'm being a little needy. And the way they do the actual zombies is probably the final nail in the coffin. There is a consistent stream of zombies. There is no break in pacing. There is no really ability or attempt to avoid them. I mean, they still have like crows and car alarms that you can set off that can make it worse, but there's always zombies everywhere you go. It's not like okay, we have we can chill for a bit here. Oh, we should stay away from this area, there's zombies, we should take this alternate route or anything. Nothing, no attempt to build on Left 4 Dead in any way, shape, or form at all. And that's the downfall of this game, is it's not even Left 4 Dead 3. Left 4 Dead 2 isn't even Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 is like Left 4 Dead 1.5. This is like Left 4 Dead 1.9. The only real thing you did was ruin all the base mechanics and shove a bunch of Magic the Gathering cards down our throats. Nobody asked for that, nobody wanted that. There are far too many special infected. They were rare occurrences that were timed and separated in Left 4 Dead, and you got a warning, and you can hear the music or the little sound, and you're like, oh, we gotta look out for them. You had a window to catch them, and if you didn't, they were devastating. That's how it should be. In Back 4 Blood, they are lightning fast, they are crazy strong, they have insanely long range, they prop up on you with no warning, and they never stop. I have seen up to 8 special infected all at the same time. And it's, spoiler alert, aside from the giant masturbator guy with one big arm, I guess he's not original, he's the Charger. It's all the exact same zombies that are in Left 4 Dead. The Boomer bomb vial distance is insane. And look, Left 4 Dead balanced it because the Boomer was fat, he was slow, he was chunky, and he didn't have very good range, and he only had one chance to spew vomit on you. This guy is fast. He is big. He is armored. He can shoot from like 30 miles away, and there's no way to knock him back and stun him. And you come to realize that there's never really a giant horde like there was in, say, Days Gone or Left 4 Dead. They throw a consistent, moderate amount of zombies, and then they pile on special infected. And that's an arbitrary way to make the game hard. The 2 best parts in the game probably are when you're going up the mine shaft, and when you're trying to get through the gates in the end of Act 3. For the security thing, because there is a consistent stream of zombies, and it doesn't stop until you're done. You just have to power through it, and that's really fun. Again, it'd be more fun without the special infected, just utterly ruining it unfairly. But if the game had focused on saying, hey, we're gonna have a lot of little zombies, and there's going to be a bunch of them, and it's gonna be more about covering your corners and making sure you time your reloads with your friends, so that somebody can hold them off for 4 or 5 seconds, reload, and then somebody else can fire while he's reloading. That would encourage teamwork. That would encourage cooperation. Or you just pile in a bunch of tanks. That's what this game does. And it's not fun. It's impossible on the easiest difficulty. I still have not beaten Act 3. And I don't know who thought it would be fun to fight giant Hulk monsters. I don't want to shoot Hulk. I want to shoot fleshy zombies so I can, hear the gore spatter out of them, and I can feel like my guns have firepower behind them, and I can see what 5.56 does to a human corpse. And you feel like you are vulnerable but powerful, as long as you have ammo and as long as you're watching your ass. And there are a million ways you could have taken Left 4 Dead's core concept of 4-player co-op zombies online and improved upon it or done something with it. You could make it like a genre. This is just Left 4 Dead again, but worse. They could have had a more open worldy kind of feel where it's one giant level and there's a few checkpoints along the way and you have to kind of decide your path and there's maps. Maybe you could have made it ultra survivalistic where, oh, by the way, speaking of survivalist, you have no control over your flashlight, another just hard step back, and there's giant dark areas that you have to just walk into, wait a half second, and then your flashlight comes on. So you're literally just walking into the dark because apparently I'm too stupid to manage my own flashlight. That's what Turtle Rock thinks of you. But if you wanted to take kind of like the extreme firearm simulation route, and you could have like, you know, every time you drop a mag, you lose the bullets in it, or maybe you can like stop, sit down, pull out your backpack, take a few seconds and like load your bullets back into a new magazine and take time to like do that kind of thing. Maybe on the machine guns, your barrel gets too hot and you have to swap it out and find a new one and it just explodes in your hand. Maybe there's like a 1 in 10,000 chance your gun jams, and the more you fire it, maybe there's a gun cleaning kit. Anything at all? Why even make the game? If you have nothing to add to the fucking franchise, what are you even doing?
Well, at least Holly's got a cute nose, I guess. 5 out of 10.
There's a god. Think she's trying to tell us something.
I'm gonna stop you right there and knock off an extra point just for that.